Good evening, everyone. Nada, we are talking about this beautiful song. It's one of my favorite. There are so many favorite. Every time I hear this song, I just want to, I don't know, let it sit in my heart. This beautiful song, this version was recorded by Carlos Di Sarli with Alberto Podestá. We're also going to talk about the poet and the composer later. Remember that Di Sarli, el maestro, was born in 1906 in Bahía Blanca, which means in English, White Bay. It's the name of the city south of Buenos Aires. And that's where he grew up, where he learned music. And he moved to Buenos Aires at the age of 20 by the encouragement of Juan Carlos Cobian, who was also a great pianist and a musician from the same area. He loved this, the town where he was born, the Ciudad Natal. Bahía Blanca that he made this song. It's a song that is very commonly played in the beginner class that some people get really tired of it, but when you really listen to it, it's a really beautiful song and you can feel his deep love for the place he was born. Pugliese said, for Di Sarli to be able to compose such a beautiful song, it must come from the bottom of his soul. He also composed another song, Milonguero Viejo, dedicating to Fresedo, who gave him a chance when he moved to Buenos Aires and he was not a known musician, and hired him as his pianist. And from there, he built on and started his career as orchestra leader. His nickname was El Señor del Tango, Gentleman of Tango, but also he had many different sides to him. Di Sarli as pianist is very subdued. It's never in front of your face. It's actually same as Pugliese. Those two were orchestra leaders and a pianist and played piano throughout their whole career, but never in front, always in the back. But then Di Sarli has this special thing called campanita, little bell, that you hear at the end of phrase. Let's see if you can hear that. Did you hear that? Mainly the Di Sarli's orchestra is carried by violin, huge, beautiful, thick layers of violin music, da, 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 da. And then the piano comes in, da, 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 and he goes, da, da, da. Those little notes that he plays is called campanita. A Bay Area tango musician, Cesar Sarno, told me once that Di Sarli is such a beautiful music he loves to play, but it's very difficult because that piano is very difficult to replicate. Di Sarli composed many songs, not only the instrumentals, but also some songs with singing. Yesterday, we featured Nido Gaucho and La Capilla Blanca, both of which he collaborated with Héctor Marcó. They started their collaboration with Corazón, which is the first song that Rufino sang, and it became a big hit and pushed Di Sarli to the stardom. And Marco was also not very known at that time, but with the Corazón hit, okay, you know, let's keep doing this together. And they produced many great songs together. Nido Gaucho was a nickname of Di Sarli's house that he grew up in Bahía Blanca. He used to call the house Nido Gaucho, Gaucho's Nest. And he composed this song, and then Marco put the lyrics to it. Some people were asking, what is the process of this songwriting goes? In the case of La Capilla Blanca, Héctor Marcó went to this city in the countryside of Argentina and got inspired. He saw this old church, white church, from Jesuit church, and there were also rivers around, and from that scenery, he created this story. It's very beautiful lyrics, and brought it to Di Sarli. And he said, okay, well, this is a really nice one. Okay, I'll put music to it. And Di Sarli believed that this also the coming together of poems, and then music was very important. So he made this song in a way to really express the world that the poem depicted, La Capilla Blanca. So in this case, the poem came first and then the song came later. Di Sarli's another nickname was El Señor con alma de niño, the gentleman with the soul of a child, and he was famous for giving a generous donation to children's charity. He even wrote some songs that he gave all the proceeds from the royalty to children's charity. If you've noticed from yesterday's lyrics that there were a lot of things that are mentioned about praying, about church, about the cross. He was a religious man. And you can also see his spirit in here. The place where he was regularly playing, it was called Boate. Boate is a type of venue, like a cabaret, where the ladies were. And the tango musician would come and they will play. There are some performances, sometimes of tango, sometimes by some other dancing or comedy show. It could be a different type of entertainment. And then there's also dancing later. The place is called Marabu. It's a salon that still operates in Buenos Aires near Obelisco. And I really recommend that you go visit if you get a chance. It's a salon where Tororo debuted there, but actually who was really a regular there was Carlos Di Sarli. You can see in this advertisement with the best music of Buenos Aires, the only one, the real one, the authentic one, with Carlos Di Sarli and Alberto Podestá. His presenter, you also see the name of the presenter, the MC, Julio Jorge Nelson, is the one who wrote the lyrics to Margarita Gautier. They were our team there. Marabu, by the way, was a name, is a name of a bird that lives in Africa that has this boa that are used by those dancers, exotic dancers, that were also part of the charm of Marabu. It was a very prestigious club, and the soccer club River Plate players came often. And Podestá was very excited because he was a big soccer fan and also a River Plate fan. Now let's look at our singer today, Alberto Podestá. He was born under the name of Alejandro Washington Ale. It's a Turkish name from his father's side, in the city of San Juan. It's a city by the mountain near Mendoza, very, very far from Buenos Aires. He was very talented as a singer since he was a kid, and so to take a chance, he moved to Buenos Aires with his sister at 15 years old. But of course, with no connection, it was very difficult to start. And they were counting the last bit of coins. How are we gonna make the ends meet? When Miguel Caló asked him, do you wanna come join and sing in my orchestra? Remember, Caló had a special talent in picking up the boys from outside of Buenos Aires before they became very famous or known, but he had eyes in picking up talent. So Podestá debuted as a tango singer for Miguel Caló's orchestra under the name of Juan Carlos Morel. Old recording that he made under that name actually didn't have a name at that time, but later, now as we see it today, it's registered under the name of Alberto Podestá. One day he was singing in Caló's orchestra, and this gentleman came before the show and gave him his card. He recognized that name. He was the presenter of Carlos Di Sarli. And he knew right away that this is a recruit. He said he was so nervous, but he sang better than ever that night because he knew that if he sing well, if we can convince this guy, maybe I get to join Di Sarli's orchestra. So that night, after the show, the agent came and they started talking. Of course, it was a recruit. Di Sarli wanted to take him off from Carlos' orchestra. Podestá already wanted to say yes, but well, he sat down and started talking. He was impressed with his singing and offered him a pay. It's more than 10 times what he was earning with Carlos. And plus, remember, Di Sarli was a regular at Marabou Club where the River Plate players would be a regular. So Podestá said, yes, I'm going right away. Thank you very much. Carlos got upset, of course, but you know, Di Sarli is a maestro, so he had to let it go. If you can see in this description, how many times he was actually keep going back and forth between those orchestra. After Podestá joined Di Sarli, he moved on to join Lawrence, and then recorded back with Di Sarli and also with Carlos. There were a lot of time he was going back and forth. And then later, there was a stable period of orchestra of Francini Pontier, who were really good friends of Podestá because they were both all from outside of Buenos Aires and working for Miguel Carlos Orchestra. Why was there so much skipping? We'll get on to that later. Podestá lived for a long time. He just passed away a few years ago. And there is a great interview of him. And his interview is a great source of information to know about orchestra and their differences because he sang with so many great orchestras. There's excerpts. I'm going to read a passage from Michael Laboca's book. It's a translation of his interview. It's a little long, but it's very interesting, so listen carefully. Alberto Podestá remembers his time with Di Sarli. He didn't like the singers to phrase freely. He believed in strict tempo to the death. And I came from Carlos, who had a very different modality. I had to work hard to fit into the orchestra. He was very demanding. We rehearsed for hours and hours until the song was in accord with his musical conception. For me, with Di Sarli, it was all learning. He instilled into me that a singer must never shout and that I should make use of my mezza voice, sending the phrase forth as if I were speaking it, but with music. His constant example was Gardel. How he admired Gardel, and he himself, giving the example of what he wanted from me, used to sing fluidly and lyrically without ever forcing an accent or banging out a beat. Recording with Di Sarli was a tremendously rigorous artistic task. But for him, before anything else, even before perfection, was what came from the heart. If one of the takes had a defect, but the expression was good, he would choose that one. He was an extraordinary director. I'll never forget working with him. There are several things that are very interesting about him that he says, that he was actually strict with tempo, because when we think of tempo, we think of D'Arienzo and also the beat. But apparently, Di Sarli was very strict with that. And the way people ask, what does the orchestra director really do to form a sound? And this Collaboration between the singer, Cantor de Orquesta, the singer, and the orchestra was very important because the orchestra leader had a vision of what the song should sound and made singers sing in a certain way. Of course, they have the voice, they have the expression, but really the orchestra leader is guiding them, sort of like the relationship between the actor and the film director. Now, remember that Di Sarli first had this young star singer, Roberto Rufino. He was one of the first star because all the girls were running after him. He was really young. They actually both debuted as a tango singer when they were 17 years old. Podestá there comes in, 2 years younger than him. And of course, there was a huge rivalry. When you listen to their singing, the way they sing and the repertoire they had actually is quite different. Remember how Rufino sounds like.
Corazón, me estás mintiendo, corazón, ¿por qué lloras? Si me ves que estoy muriendo de esta pena tu compás, y sabes que ya la mía y otro brazo se entregó, no desmayes todavía seco tanto como yo.
No, it's very attacking, very upbeat, and then with this manly feeling. While Podesta's repertoire, like you heard yesterday, is very lyrical. I'm not sure if I should use the word feminine, but very romantic. Rufino considered himself as a star, and then this loser comes to try to take over his place, so he went on full attack. Podestá recorded some songs, but the majority of repertoire was given to Rufino, and then on stage, Rufino sang most of the songs. He wouldn't let Podestá sing. Not only that, one day, Rufino was going to go on stage and ask Podestá, oh, why don't you just take this one? The song that they were about to play was Alma de Bohemio. It's a very difficult song to sing, and it was Rufino's specialty. It was the song that he sang to Di Sarli to convince him to hire him at the audition. Rufino did that to make fun of Podestá, to embarrass him. However, Podestá sang it so beautifully, and after that, it became his repertoire. He later recorded that song with Lawrence.
Peregrino y soñador, cantar. Quiero mi fantasía y la loca poesía.
You can imagine the face of Rufino when Podestá sang it so beautifully and people going, oh, crazy on stage, no? Here comes the reason why Podestá was going back and forth between Caló and all the other orchestra, because Rufino was giving him such a hard time. Although Podestá was happy with the relationship with Di Sarli, he couldn't tolerate Rufino. So then Podestá would leave because he didn't get to perform. And then Rufino was such a finicky guy, and he would also go independent. And so Podestá would come back and sing. And then Rufino, that venture didn't go very well, come back, sing with Di Sarli. And then they will fight again. But then Rufino gets another offer and he leaves. There were a lot of going back and forth, actually from Rufino with Di Sarli. And therefore, Podestá was also going back and forth between different orchestras. But I guess Di Sarli would still allow him to do that because he was such a big star and a great singer. It's very interesting to see a parallel between D'Arienzo different singer, Echagüe, the first singer, Echagüe, and Maure. Also with Troilo Fiorentino, and then Marino that came later. That the first group of singers in the beginning of 39, 40, 41 at most was very rhythmical, very masculine, a great energy. And then the second singer that came in that recorded mostly in 42, 43 and later was more lyrical. That the trend of tango also changed within very short period of time. And the orchestra looked for different characteristics in different singers, and having both of those singers was great source of success. Now let's look at the creator of this song. This beautiful song, Nada, has beautiful melody like the Uno that we listened to the other day. It's composed by Jose Dames, this young boy. He was a bandoneon player himself, and he played with several orchestras that was not very known, but he was a fantastic composer. Fuimos, that we all love, recorded by Pugliese Chanel, and also with Troilo. And two, it's something that we never listened to in the milonga, but it has also very beautiful melody. And he wrote these three songs, Nada, Tristeza Marina, y Los Despojos. Those three were both collaboration with Horacio Sanguinetti. Tristeza Marina is this one. You see you hear the Di Sarli's campanita there, no? Recorded by Di Sarli and Rufino. Horacio Sanguinetti is a very interesting character. He wrote beautiful lyrics. Nada, Barro, Amiga. There are many great lyrics that he wrote, but not many things are known about him. And look here. He passed away in 44 years old. What had happened? There is a very interesting story that recently I discovered, that he had to escape from Buenos Aires. How? Because his sister passed away, and in the funeral, he got into argument with his sister's husband, who was a bully, and he had a weapon. And in that argument, he killed his sister's husband by mistake. What is he gonna do? He ran and hide into Pugliese's house. So what am I gonna do? What am I gonna do? And he says, go to cabaret Chantecler. Chantecler is the cabaret where D'Arienzo used to play. And so he goes there to find his friends. That he talked to D'Arienzo, and he talked to Homero Manzi, Caturo Castillo, other poets, no? That are really well connected. And he said, like, what am I gonna do? What am I gonna do? And they say, don't worry. Let's go to the President Perón's house, and we'll convince him to protect you. So they will go there to the president's house. So now you can see the relationship between the tango musician and the political power at that time. And president promises to give him 24 hours of safety. So his friends, the poets and the musician, they would give him money and send him away to Uruguay. So he escaped there, and he passed away in Uruguay a few years later. Very interesting story. Anyhow, Nada, let's go into the lyrics. This is another love story of a guy who left and then came back with regret. But it paints such a beautiful picture. That's what I really love about these lyrics. I've arrived at your house. He llegado hasta tu casa. Yo no sé cómo. How could I have come here, because he already knew, they told me that you're not here. Se me han dicho que no estás, you're not here, que ya nunca volverás. And not only you're not here, that you will never return. Se me han dicho que te has ido. And one more time, just in case, to be clear. Since they've told me that you're gone. But he came back anyways. Cuánta nieve hay en mi alma. There's so much snow in my soul, because it's so cold, because she's not here. Qué silencio hay en tu puerta. There's such silence at your door. Imagine that. Such silence at the door. Al llegar hasta el umbral, when I arrived at the doorstep, un candado de dolor me detuvo el corazón. A bolt of sorrow stopped my heart. Because all the memory came back, no? I don't know, maybe memory of the goodbye. Now, this is the part that I really love the most about this song. Nada queda en tu casa natal. Nothing is left in the house where you were born. I'm imagining a house like this. There's nothing left. The window is broken. Solo telarañas que teje el yuyar. Araña is spider. Telaraña is the cobwebs, the spider webs. Que teje el yuyar, woven amongst the weeds. Yuyar is from Yuyo. You also know many other tango songs like Yuyo Brujo, for example, Yuyo Verde. You hear that word a lot in tango. The weeds, no? That grows in the garden, in the front yard. El rosar tampoco existe. The rose bush is also gone. Because remember, rose is something that takes a lot of care. You need to be there. Somebody need to be living there taking care of it. Es seguro que se ha muerto al irte tú. He must have died when you left. Todo es una cruz. That's all my cross to bear. And I also imagine this parallel between rosar, the rose bush, with life, with beautiful existence of her, you know, with this dream, with the youth, and that is gone because all of the dream is gone, all the happy days are gone, and she is gone. Nada más que tristeza y quietud. Nothing more than sadness and silence or stillness. Quietud would be also with stillness. Nadie que me diga si vives aún. No one to tell me if you're still alive. Maybe she passed away, who knows, no? ¿Dónde estás para decirte? Where are you? I want to tell you. What? That I've returned repentant to seek your love. Hoy he vuelto arrepentido a buscar tu amor. So he came back to tell her that now I'm sorry that I want to be with you. But she's not there. What is there in the house? Nada, nothing. That's the message of this song. Remember the song that we covered the other day, Recién, just now? In that song, the main character comes back and she actually takes him back. No? So not all the tango is very sad, but in this case, nada. You can imagine from the title that there's nothing there. But still the music is so beautiful. It tells us the sweet memories that he had with her from the past. Now listen to the song again.
me han dicho que te has ido. Cuánta nieve hay en mi alma, qué silencio hay en tu puerta. Al llegar hasta el umbral, un candado de dolor me detuvo el corazón. Nada, nada queda en tu casa natal, solo telarañas que teje el yuyal. El rosal tampoco existe y es seguro que se ha muerto al irte tú. Todo es una cruz, nada, nada más que tristeza y quietud. Nadie que me diga si vives aún. ¿Dónde estás para decirte que hoy he vuelto arrepentido a buscar tu amor? Nada, nada más que tristeza y quietud. Nadie que me diga si vives aún. ¿Dónde estás para decirte que hoy he vuelto arrepentido a buscar tu amor?
Now there is this chick quiz time. Quiz number 1. Which city was Di Sarli from? Bahía Blanca. Yes, Bahía Blanca. There we go. Which means White Bay, the name of the city, and a name, also name of the tango that he wrote. Okay, let's find Di Sarli.
Number two.
Yes, do we all agree? Yes, number 2, Di Sarli. Can you guess who the other people are? Number 1?
Pugliese.
Pugliese, yes. Number 3?
Rienzo.
Arienzo, yes. Like he sounded a little bit creepy here, no? Yeah, number 4?
Troilo.
Troilo, yes, Pichuco el Gordo. By the way, Pichuco, the Troilo's nickname was El Gordo, fat, and Podestá also had a nickname of Gordito because he was also a little fat. Okay, so this is a picture with all the singers that sang with Di Sarli. Can you? It's not a really good definition, but can you find which one is Podestá? Two. Very good. Where's the Di Sarli?
Three.
Do you recognize anybody else?
Rufino is probably 4.
You must be able to recognize Rufino, no? Because at least we have covered him.
Number 5.
Five.
Yes, number 5 is Rufino, yes. Let's see. Boom. So it was Podestá, Di Sarli, and then the other guys, Mario Pomar, and Rufino, and Jorge Duran, which we will cover in the next time. We want to talk about Di Sarli. Another singer, Oscar Serpa, right here. Very nice. Now, the Duolingo time. Number 1, puerta.
Door.
Very good. Number 2, natal.
Where you're born. Birthplace.
Born, your birthplace. Yes. Native. Yeah, you can hear the one Casa Natal, Ciudad Natal. You hear that over and over. Terra Araña.
Cobweb.
Cobweb, yes. Spider webs, yes. Number 4, Yuyal. Weeds, yes. Number 5, arrepentido. Repentant, yes, it came from repentir, no? Repentant, regretting. No? Very nice. Thank you very much for coming, and I hope you enjoyed it.
Thank you.
Thank you.